Hi, all you jellicles out in podcast land and also on YouTube. You son of a bitch, you did it. I'm starting to wonder what kind of people comprise our audience.
Masochists. Because they wanted to make us watch this.
They're sadists then.
Sadists, sorry, not masochists.
They're masochists if they also watch it themselves.
Well, I assume that they had to watch it in order to know that it would be so painful.
But most of them are just at home, not having watched this, laughing at us. Just along for the ride.
I laughed a few times watching it, but more out of just sheer confusion and...
Ian McKellen, no!
and panic. Like, it's like a sense of dread. As you're watching this movie, you're just like, no, not another scene.
Not another character. This whole movie is just new characters being introduced.
Yeah.
I timed it. First 55 minutes, there's not a scene wherein a new character is not introduced.
Oh, really?
Every scene for the first 55 minutes.
Oh,
I counted. There's 15 songs on this soundtrack, and 11 of them are character introduction songs.
Unbelievable.
Man.
And after that 55 minutes, there's more introductions. There's just like, that's the first scene where there isn't one. Okay, you guys. I don't remember what I gave Doolittle out of 10.
You gotta compare it to Doolittle. Maybe the worst movie we've seen on the podcast so far.
Maybe? Of course it was.
Doolittle was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was the worst. I hated it.
Okay.
I wanted to get the hell out of the theater.
See, all right, yeah, we'll talk about it, I guess. Because I'm torn a little bit.
Well, what are you going to give it out of 10?
You want me to go first? David usually goes first.
Sure.
Okay.
This movie defies rating, but I'll give a I'll give a doctor's warning instead. 2 in 10 preteens will become sexually confused adolescents after experiencing this semi-erotic nightmare.
That's a good one.
I think that one says a lot about you.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They're like half naked,
There's
spandex
a lot
clad.
of sexual tension in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Some weird foot stuff. We're going to explore that deeper.
Some
What?
foot stuff?
I can't wait to hear
I
about
didn't
that.
pick up on the foot stuff.
Oh, you weren't watching closely enough.
I give it 3 out of 10, and we'll talk about why that extra point. But my slogan is,
What extra point? You were going to give it a 2, but you've upgraded to a 3?
well, I give it an extra point compared to David,
oh, okay.
but I feel like we feel pretty similar about it. My slogan is, this is dumb. I expected more spy gadgets and gizmos in the prequel to 2001's family comedy Cats and Dogs.
I don't even get it.
What a weird cut. That's such a weird choice of movie.
That's the first thing that came up when I thought of cats. Yep.
Experience the Jellicle.
Wait, you saw Cats and Dogs, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was like one of my earliest theater memories. I don't remember that
Really?
movie at all, though, but I remember.
Dude, it was
Not
like
particularly like
it was
me?
like a spy caper with cats and dogs.
Did they have to team up in the end to like face off against the raccoons or something?
No, the cats are the bad guys.
Cats are the bad guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hello, James?
Hey,
Are you there?
I'm trying to figure out like what it means. Like, what is a 1? Should this be a 1? What's the what's the difference between a 1 and a 2 really? You know?
Well, I think a 1 would be like I literally want to burn it with fire. But I don't want to burn this with fire. I think I kind of like that it exists, even though I do not like it.
A 1 would be like, not only is it just the worst movie, like it's very boring, it's incomprehensible,
Yeah.
probably like The Room, but also it is offensive. Like it would have to be that and racist.
yeah.
Like just the worst in every dimension.
Just
so
be
it's
like-
not a 1.
An offensive pile of crap would be a 1.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm
This
going
is not a
to
one.
go between you guys. I'm going to go 2.5.
Okay.
You know, it's got actors you've recognized.
Yeah.
It's got
The production quality, I mean, we can talk about the VFX later, but like, I don't know, in terms of the how polished everything kind of seemed.
They spent some money.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good. It's a good looking movie.
Performances are, they're good.
It is what it be.
That's what you get from
I don't
Cats.
know.
I mean, it's cats, but like, I think the actors did a good job.
Did you know that they went to cat school for a couple days before
What does
shooting
that
this movie?
Wait, what does that mean?
Taylor Swift said, she's like, oh yeah, we all went, I'm not sure the full details, but yeah, we all went to cat school to learn how to behave like cats before.
What is, wait.
That means they
wait.
means they went to a workshop where they had like, the visual language of the movie, how you should carry yourself.
I know what that practically means, but it brings up questions like, is cat school a thing? Like outside of this?
You never boarded a cat?
Like, No, but like when you said they went to cat school, I'm like, okay, dog school usually refers to a place you send your dog to learn how to behave, right? But you're saying cat school is something that teaches humans how to behave like cats.
In this context, it was a very shrewd ballet teacher like the guy from Black Swan, plus a professional cat trainer.
Who was a cat.
Equipped with catnip and a little bell and a laser pointer.
My God.
All right, my slogan is, I wish I could lick my junk while watching this. Give me something to do.
Make it more interesting.
Such a boring movie.
Oh, really?
So boring, man.
I wasn't bored.
I was so bored.
That's probably why I give it a 3.
I set out to be like, okay, people talk crap about this movie. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to pay attention. I have the subtitles on. I'm going to figure out what it's about, what it's trying to say, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to know it, okay? 5 minutes in, I could not give a single fuck.
Oh, really?
5 minutes in, I checked to see how long it was.
See,
I was like, 2 hours?
I had that same kind of mindset, I think. I was like, okay, I've heard... that I don't think I hadn't heard much about cats except that it was like crazy. Like I didn't know whether.
You mean pre-movie, like in the 90s, from the stage show?
Yeah, but also this movie. When it came out, people were memeing about it and stuff.
The memes I saw were all about the VFX.
The VFX as well, but like I also was aware generally of the inherently confusing nature of cats.
That was new to me.
I knew generally that cats was a very confusing yet culturally important in a historical sense thing. What was that look?
It was the longest running Broadway show of its time.
Exactly.
It had the record for a while.
So that's what I knew, but I also came in being like, all right, there's got to be something here. There's got to be some meat. There's got to be something to dig into.
Some tuna.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that right after this message from our sponsor, Private Internet Access. PIA helps you hide your true IP address so you can bypass geo restrictions and censorship. Just let me be a cat, damn it. Let me live. You can connect up to 5 Jellicle devices at once, and it includes an internet kill switch if your VPN gets disconnected involuntarily. PIA is available
McCavity.
McCavity. PIA is available for Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and even as a Chrome extension, so check it out at lmg.gg/carpoolpia.
And maybe you too will ascend to the heaviside layer.
I had the subtitles on, and I kept thinking that the subtitles were spelling layer as L-A-Y-E-R, like heaviside layer.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's the heaviside layer, like a den, like a L-A-I-R layer.
No, that would make too much sense.
I Googled it, and nope, the subtitles were correct.
Yeah.
So is this movie about absolutely nothing? Like, there's no theme. Like, this idea of rebirth in the heaviside layer is not at all explored in anything in the movie, except like maybe 1 or 2 moments.
Okay, hold on. Why don't we? This is a perfect opportunity to ad lib a synopsis for this.
Oh, I have a
file.
synopsis.
You wrote something down?
I wrote something.
Oh my God. I'd love to know. What's this movie about, Riley?
Okay, guys, here we go. Listen. So in this movie called Cats, a white cat named Victoria is abandoned in the streets of London, where she's introduced to a tribe of cats called the Jellicles.
Can I just pause you right there? Like, okay, she's dropped in a bag.
Yeah.
She's in a bag, and she emerges onto the streets, and I'm thinking she went from a household, now she's a street cat. She's an alley cat now.
Yeah.
And she meets these cats, and the first cats she meets, so you're kind of like framing this all as the Jellicles are like what street cats are. They live like street cats live. Whatever she learns here is just, she's learning street sense.
Yeah.
But after seeing the movie, I don't think that's the case.
No.
I think it's like the equivalent of a time traveler or an alien coming to Earth and landing on an like Amish colony or like Jonestown. The Jellicles don't represent all alley cats.
The Jellicles are just like
they're a cult. They're weird.
She got dropped into the weirdest street in London.
Yes.
I mean, so that's not true canonically, but we'll get into that.
All right. So continue your synopsis,
So,
please.
she learns of the Jellicle Ball, Victoria does, where the Jellicle leader, Old Deuteronomy, will choose one cat to ascend to the heaviside layer and be reincarnated.
David's losing it. He's crying. I guess that whole heaviside layer thing is like a play on cats have 9 lives, like give them an extra life kind of deal.
Yeah, maybe. You're getting too deep already. Victoria meets many candidates for the ball, including Victoria meets many candidates for the ball, including Jenny Anydots, Rum Tum Tugger, Grizabella, Bustiver Jones, Skimbleshanks.
I love how there's cat names. Like some of these are pretty valid cat names, but if you talk to like 15 different people, 100 different people, you'll get 100 different flavors of what they think a cat name should be.
Right.
You know, it might be Buster Fins, or it might be like Jacob.
Yeah.
But this whole movie, it doesn't. It's one person's flavor of cat names.
I love how all the names are just completely out there. Like, where did you get that? Okay, but funny enough, the next name that I was going to say is Gus the theater cat, which is the most normal name in the whole movie. So he's one of the cats. And most of these cats are abducted by the evil magical cat, McCavity, who wants to win the Jellicle Ball himself.
I like how his name has a C-A in it. Like, you almost think you're going to say McCat.
McCatity.
I'm already crying. We're not even through the synopsis.
Okay, we're almost there. After McCavity abducts old Deuteronomy, it's up to the Jellicles and my personal favorite, magical Mr. Mistopheles, to bring her back. Which he does. Spoilers, by the way. Grisabella goes to heaven, and the audience is told that apparently the point of all this was to remind us that cats are not dogs. The end.
Oh, God.
That final song was so weird.
Yeah, okay. So you got Judi Dench, right?
Dame Judi Dench.
What does that mean, dame?
It's like sir.
Yeah.
She's a knight, but it's called a dame for a woman.
Crazy. So she's old Deuteronomy, and that character on the stage was a male. Mm-hmm. So they made her a matriarch in this one. Totally worked. I didn't even know until I looked later. Mm-hmm. And she's like breaking the fourth wall and singing into the lens for that last song.
Yeah.
And
they're all just fine with it.
And they're telling, the song lyrics are basically telling people how to act like towards cats. Address your cat, oh cat. And like, the premise of the song is, now that you've seen how cats behave, now you know the true essence of cats, this is how you should treat them. And I'm sitting there like, this is the interpretation. This movie
is this the point?
Is the person who made this movie, like, or wrote the show, Andrew? I guess that's Andrew
Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, he did. I mean,
but he based it off T.S. Eliot's poems.
Yeah. But this is your interpretation of what cats are like. This movie, I was like, man, we have such different ideas of cats.
You don't view them as these regal, wonderful creatures worthy of respect? You view them as
I do, but just
chonky boys?
All of the above.
I think it's so weird how self-serious some elements of this movie are. Like, why are they reincarnating cats? Why are they going to heaven?
Well,
what is this about?
This is why I was so confused, because I knew, like, I had seen clips or whatever, you know, like I haven't seen Cats the musical ever, but like I had seen parts of it, and I'm like, these people seem like they're pretty serious about this, you know. These actors are on stage, they're emoting, they're crying and stuff. Like, there's some serious moments. There seems to be something at stake here. But then I looked into the background of this show, and like you said, it's based off this series of poems by T.S. Eliot, and I forget what it's called, but it's completely nonsensical. It's not based on anything that has any grounding in any sort of story or meaning. It's just some cute cats.
None of what you're saying matters, Riley. In the context of the show, when you went to see the show, I think none of that mattered. I've read that for theater people who really like musicals, Cats is like an outlier.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense, and that's why that's one of the things you like about it.
See, that's what's funny. That's really funny to me, because to me, I was like, this is so theater. Like, I'm sure you're right.
That's what's frustrating, because for people who are really into theater, it's like, okay, there's going to be a movie version of a musical, Les Mis or Phantom of the Opera or whatever, and you're like, on the one hand, they're like, yes, I love musicals. Finally, it's going to be in the mainstream a little bit, and people who know me, who know I like musicals, are going to ask me questions about it, and I get to talk about musicals, and like, finally, yes. But they also know that it's going to suck, in some ways at least. And so they ask themselves the question, is it better to have any musical movie? Is that better than no musical movies?
You're talking primarily about the movie adaptation, not the musical.
I'm speaking like when movie adaptations of musicals come in, percolate into the culture. People who like theater are kind of like, they have this double-edged sword where they're like, sweet, there's a movie version of a musical, but I know it's gonna suck in some ways, but I still might watch it like 10 times, even though it has these issues compared to the show, because I'm just so happy that there is something to watch.
Right.
So that's good, but then Cats is especially bad because it sucks. It's a shitty movie, and
so according to theater people, it sucks.
Yeah,
No.
theater people don't like Cats, the musical.
Some people, some people do.
It's a lowbrow theater production. It's
okay.
Totally like the high level people are like it's garbage and it's silly
Or
and
it's
it makes
for
no
kids.
sense. It's for kids. Yeah.
It's for kids.
Yes.
It's like so sexual.
Not compared to the movie.
I also think it's really 90s.
Well, I mean, it's not so sexual, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of writhing around, and
Yeah.
there's like analogies for sex, basically. Like, I don't know.
I think a big part of it is just the 90s-ness of it. You know what I mean? Where the 90s was just like, it's the 90s.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just weird.
We're just out there.
So it didn't need to have much of a plot or make any sense. It was like we have the people in these wild cat costumes with flattened noses and speckles on them. We've got like this Blade Runner-esque synth music.
Yeah,
It seemed
in
like
the beginning.
if Blade Runner had a happy ending, like that's the soundtrack. You know when Blade Runner with
totally.
like Pris comes like
Yeah.
doing not handstands, round offs, like doing a bunch of flips, like just out of nowhere, she's flipping out of like a whole hallway, and that weird music's playing. It's like the Cats.
Yeah, I find the overture of this musical is so weird and sci-fi.
Those
it kind
synth
of
hits.
settles into more Andrew Lloyd Webber-y sounding stuff.
Right.
But the first 10 minutes is so strange. The first couple songs are terrible.
Honestly, I was
They're
like worried.
so bad.
I was worried that they were all going to be like that because the first that Jellicle cats and jellicles and jellicle cats, and it's like the motif is kind of looping back on itself, and the timing's a bit weird, and I'm just like, ah.
Well, they took the idea of like how to make a song be a hook in your head, and they're like, how do we weaponize this? And it's literally that, where a line opens up to the next line, and it becomes an eternal loop where you
Right.
can't get it out of your head. But it repeats, I would say at least 100 times in that song. At least.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating.
I was
crazy.
singing it all night.
It's too much.
So
It's too much.
So the point at which this movie started to kind of make sense for me is when I did look up that it was based on the T.S. Eliot's. It's called Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Is the collection of poems that this is based off of, and in that group of poems, he basically describes all of these cats, and so that's why.
These are children's poems, right?
Sure,
I think
don't
they
know.
are.
Presumably, yeah.
And each of these cats is described in this book of poems as having like distinct attributes. So that's why this whole musical is basically just introducing you to attributes. Jeez
Thank you.
Louise. It's basically introducing you to all these cats and like with their particular, idiosyncrasies and whatnot.
He also is the one who coins the term jellicle.
Right. And so okay, Jellicle is like a meme now, and I almost like it more as something that doesn't make sense, but it actually makes sense in that it came from the phrase "dear little cats," and you say that really fast, maybe with a British accent, like "dear little cats, dear little cats, dear little Jellicle cats." I don't know.
Where's the J?
It's
a kid.
Dear
It's-
little
it's
cats.
apparently-
Dear little
It was like
dear
his,
little cats.
It was his goddaughter or his niece or
Dear little
something
cats.
who was saying it, and he based it off that. So it's just a kid's pronunciation.
Yeah.
Same with Pollicle
Pollicle dogs.
is poor little dogs.
Yep.
And the world is made a worse place for all of you knowing
No one
this.
needs to know that.
So like, why?
Okay, in
Why,
a musical, you need good music. You need good singers. This movie has so few good singers. Why is there so many actors that talk their way through 90% of the music in this movie?
Really?
It is unlistenable.
You're
cannot
kind of
listen
getting
to
into
it.
one answer to the question: is this the movie's fault or the play's fault? That's what I wanted to find out here.
Wait, who's a bad singer in this?
Everybody,
bro.
like
Compared to
Judi
the-
Dench, like Ian McKellen,
think
Rebel Wilson, all like
Hot take. I
Rebel
thought
Wilson-
Taylor Swift actually. You guys have better ears than me, but I thought she was pretty pitchy. I was like, this is not coming off well.
she was okay. She didn't stand out for
She
good
was
or bad
fine.
to me.
Jason Derulo was
but
good.
dude, Taylor Swift's
But he's-
accent, she tried to
Vanessa-
be all British.
Man,
What's her name?
Jason Derulo, his enunciation of the words totally took that away from that song. I couldn't understand anything he was saying. I went after and I watched all the songs from like the 1997 Broadway production version of it, and like the Rum Tum Tugger, his song in Broadway is very funny and it's great because
Yeah.
you can understand all of the lines and it's constantly switching and it's like, oh yeah, this, that, this, that, this, that. Whereas in this version, when he goes fast, I couldn't understand anything he was saying.
Oh, wait a second. You watched the real musical before you watched the movie?
I watched it after. I've seen it before
Oh.
because my mom loved it when I was young, so I've seen it multiple times
okay.
when I was young, but it never clicked with me.
I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the I mean, as much as you can enjoy it, I was just kind of like, this is fun. Like, I think I really wanted to give it a shot. So for the first, like, quarter or a third, maybe, I was kind of like, all right, maybe this will make sense at some point. But I was giving it the benefit of the doubt. And the Rum Tum Tugger bit, like, I was like, this is ridiculous. But I'm like, okay, I don't know. It's a visual spectacle.
It's so ridiculous. If you offer me a pheasant, I would rather have a grouse. It's like, what the fuck?
Like, his whole deal was that he doesn't want what you offer to him. He's like, I want to do my own thing.
He's a bad boy.
Which I like. I think that's like a very cat thing.
Yeah.
And I think I like that aspect of it when it's like, oh, it's like what cats would do. But there's only like 5% of this is actually about what cats would do. And it's just like this otherworld alien thing for the rest of it.
Well, one of my biggest gripes of this movie is that they get cats wrong.
Yeah.
I got some bullet points
but you need to
here.
understand that. You need to explain this, yeah. Because I don't know what you're talking about here.
Me?
What did they get wrong about cats?
Okay, first
Do
of
you
all,
have a cat?
No, I had a cat when I was a little kid, but no, not as an adult. I don't like cats.
there are too many female orange cats in this movie.
What?
There are.
Sorry,
There's
what?
like 4. There's like 4 orange female cats in this movie. Did you know, Riley, when you see an orange ginger cat, it's 3 times out of 4, it's a male. They're almost all male.
I don't care about this.
No. This is serious. It's a sex-linked gene.
Oh.
A female orange cat would have to inherit that from both parents.
So wait, you're saying you didn't like this movie? They got cats wrong because it's unrealistic?
Okay. How about
Next
this?
one. Next.
How about this? They never use the, you know how sometimes they're hissing at each other and their ears are in play sometimes?
Yeah.
They never use their tails. You know when a cat's like kind of pissed, its tail starts whipping around like erratic and fast?
Right.
They never did that at all either.
Yeah. The tails were just kind of like little magical things that helped the dances.
I will say this movie made it more clear than I ever wanted it to be what it would be like to have a tail. I saw that vision of like what it'd be like to live with a tail, and I do not want it.
Oh, I didn't think of that at all. I might have thought of that in X-Men 2 with Nightcrawler, but not in this one.
You don't want one?
Their tails aren't prehensile.
No, they're not
Well,
very
they
useful.
basically are prehensile in this.
When?
No, you're right. They don't. But they're certainly moving around a lot. Like, you know,
there's
they
that
do
one
have
song
control.
that they dance with their tail, and they're all like on the ground when they
Right.
get the catnip, and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
no, it wasn't. Stop it. Oh my god.
I don't know. Okay, so the past couple podcasts, I've been the guy who's like, I want a takeaway. I want a moral lesson. You know, what's the depth here? But I find myself like not being that angry at this movie because it's like so blatant about just being not that at all. It's just,
you know what's crazy though is I was reading differences from the movie, the differences between the stage and the movie.
Yeah.
And here's a quote I wrote down. The movie actually has a narrative arc that grounds the story more than the theater version. I was like, how is that possible? How is that even
more than the theater version.
Yes. Because the theater version doesn't really have a main character.
Oh, Victoria's kind of like an add-in to give
They're
you a
all just kind of the
protagonist?
same. They're all just like, now I sing my part. And I guess, by the way, all these cats are introducing themselves and doing these songs and dances as their pitch of why they should be the one who goes to the Heaviside Lair and gets an extra life.
Yep.
Right? Which
Sales
is weird
pitch.
because they're supposed to do that pitch in front of old Deuteronomy. Doo-doo. They're supposed to do it in front because she's the one who decides who goes, right? But we don't even meet Deuteronomy until later, until like a third in the movie or something like that. So some of those sales pitches are really barking up the wrong
I think
tree.
maybe the idea is that, you know, everybody knows who these cats are and they're being introduced for the sake of Victoria, basically.
Yeah.
And Deuteronomy knows.
At what point did they introduce magic into this world? What did that
Okay,
happen?
that's another.
That's another difference from the stage because in this movie, McCavity is a villain. It's Idris Elba,
Yep.
and he's one of the cats that gets to wear clothes for some reason.
Awesome.
Not all of them do.
Love it.
Some of
Only
them
for
do.
part of it.
Don't understand why. And his magicness, like how he like disappears people, and they end up on some
McCavity.
they land on some garbage barge some distance away for some reason.
In the middle of the Thames.
That's just made up. He doesn't teleport people.
Oh,
and he's not evil. He's kind of like a James
What do you mean?
Dean.
Okay, wait.
cool-
What do you mean that's just made up?
for the movie?
Okay,
he doesn't
but
do that in the.
It's all just made up.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I had a question about the logic of the magic in this movie. If they can disappear people, and magical Mr. Mistopheles has the ability to snap Dame Judi Dench back, doesn't Idris Elba have the same power just to snap her back? And shouldn't they have like a fight of snapping her back and forth?
Word.
See, this is the part where you're asking too many questions. Man, this is so funny to be on the other
And
side.
how does that reconcile with the Thanos?
Normally I'm on the other side. I'm like, no, there has to be rules to the universe. I'm like, nope, it's cats. There doesn't have to be rules.
For the first 40 minutes of this movie, I was totally on board with you. I was having a great time. It's so weird. Like
Yeah.
the Ron
You were
Funky
having a
song,
great time?
I was having a great time.
I was having a decent
It was
time.
so weird. Like when Rebel Wilson has the cockroach circus and starts eating them. And I'm
Another addition for the
like,
movie.
I was like, what the fuck is going
And
on?
then she unzips her skin. She's a fat orange cat. She suddenly has a zipper on her skin and just peels off.
That's one of her
And,
powers.
and it reveals underneath she's wearing a costume, which in turn is on top of another suit of fur.
yeah.
So weird.
That's one of her powers.
But I'm with you, David, when they said, oh my God, like Deuteronomy, she's got disappeared. We need to bring her back. Hey, you, magical Mr. Mistopheles.
Yeah.
You've done
You're a
some sleight of
magician.
hand.
Yeah.
You've pulled literal like mice out of top hats in this movie.
Well-
Why don't you teleport her back? When that was posed to him, I was like, you might as well ask me to teleport her back.
No.
Like, I was like, how is he going to do that?
No, I actually like that because earlier you do see him go and reach into his hat for something and his arm goes like way down into there like
Yeah.
Hermione's bag in Harry Potter.
Well, yeah,
Sure.
So it's like, okay, it's established that he's actually a magical cat, but maybe he's just like held back by his,
Society.
anxiety. Yeah. Well, that too. Either one. And so then they're all like encouraging him and they're like, come on, you can do it. And he keeps doing it and he keeps failing. I actually really like that part because
I was going to say,
that's
same.
like, that's like the hero's journey type of thing that I resonate with where it's like you fail, and you keep trying. And then he succeeds.
I agree with it. I like the clarity of the story, and I was able to comprehend what was happening, what the meaning of what was happening. And
What
it
are
was
you
like,
talking about?
There was a clear arc. The magical Mr. Mistopheles scene. Okay, he's like got to convince.
You mean just that scene?
Just that
Yeah,
sequence.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Of like, okay, he
Just
has to
that, yeah.
convince himself that he has the power to do it, and he tries, fails, and he gives up. But then everyone comes together and is like, "You can do it," and then he does it. And like that's a very clear arc.
Yeah.
That's a good little story. That's a good scene. The song is so repetitive, and like, it
But I
got on my
liked it.
nerves by the end of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it
because I
repeats
feel like
a bit too
I was
much.
just gonna say that the song, like, to me, perfectly underscores that moment because it is kind of like it's kind of an inspirational little loop,
Totally.
like,
Yeah.
and so like the repetition
You want to
of
sing it so bad right now.
I did. I
Just
almost
do it.
No. It's
David will join you.
No, we're not doing it. Magical Mr. Mistopheles. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I loved it. I just got chills right there thinking about it.
It's because the air conditioning.
Overall, I actually
that's the
think that-
one part of the movie that I'm like, whoa, here's some depth. And then also the Grisabella, Jennifer Hudson coming in the memory, memory.
I don't like that.
With all those glistening snot on her upper lip.
Yeah, that was weird that they kept that animation.
I think they added it.
Oh, it's so
Oh
weird.
my gosh.
I like the idea of her character, and I kind of like the payoff at the end of her like ascending into rebirth, and like that story of redemption's good. But the first time everybody sees her and they fucking slut shame her,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is weird. This is just like they're slut shaming that cat.
Wait, are they slut shaming her?
For sure, because she went off with McCavity.
Well, Cavity's like her pimp.
What? She was like having sex and stuff?
She was
you
a
seen the movie?
cat
Well,
of
I
the
didn't know
night.
whether that was implied. I thought she was just outcast because she went with McCavity and no one likes McCavity.
I think it's implied that it's like
Oh.
she, yeah.
All right.
Maybe I'm reading too much of it.
No,
That being
it's,
said,
no, it's in there.
the foot thing, that's real.
What
And
is
the
this
Ron
foot
Thompson-
thing?
Yeah, what is this foot thing?
Okay, there's a lot of moments of sexual tension. Like there's weird moments when people get close and then they kind of like go for a kiss and they're like,
Oh, yeah.
I think part of that is that cats boop each other. Cats do like the head boop.
well, I get it, but it feels weird when they look like humans.
Yeah.
And then, so there's a bunch of that. Like when the loyal cat, I don't know his name. Who cares?
Loyal cat?
The one.
The male that's always there, that's not Mistopheles.
Yeah, that's not clearly defined. He apparently in the play he has it's his own song. Anyways,
That's
Him and
that's
James
Munkustrap,
Monkus Trap.
played by Robbie Fairchild.
Monkus Strap.
when him and Dame Judi Dench almost kiss, that was too weird. For
What?
me. You don't remember that? She gets like teleported back, and then he's like so happy, and they like go like.
No. That's not them almost kissing.
That's-
There is no.
don't
This
know
is
what
what's
sexual
funny.
tension is,
This is
right?
what's funny. There is no kissing in this movie, right?
know.
Because cats don't kiss, but they like nuzzle or whatever. So it's not like they're like almost about to kiss. They're just like hugging.
Yeah, but if they were cats, there would be that. But these are human hybrids.
Well, cats don't really have lips, and they can't move their jaws sideways.
But okay,
Exactly.
the foot thing is in the Ron Tum Tugger song, and it happens once, but it happens very clearly when I was rewatching the scenes to kind of get a better idea of what happened. Victoria's kind of getting seduced by Ron Tum Tugger, and it's very like sexual, that song. I think way more than the original musical. And she does like a ballet spin, and she puts her foot out, and he grabs her foot, and he has an open mouth towards it. He goes like, and then Rebel Wilson's like, "Stop! You're milking it!" And then he throws her foot away. But it's like a really weird, like very sexual foot grab, mouth open approach.
Is that only one example?
I guess that didn't really occur. I mean, that occurred to me as like a sexual thing, but I didn't really think of the foot fetish like connection thing or anything. I think
that's the only time it happened.
Right.
I think just like the general undertone of weird sexual tension. That's supposed. Yeah, I think you guys are right. It's supposed to be a cat behavior thing, but it does not read that way to me. It reads very much as like sexual tension.
What did you guys think of the fact that every time they walk around, they don't walk normally? They always have to do this little thing with their shoulders.
Victoria. Victoria is the most like walking around like kind of. How do you do this over radio?
Yeah.
She's kind of hunched. Her limbs are close to her.
They like rhythmically rotate their shoulders as if they're like walking on all fours, but they're not. They're walking on two legs?
It's so messed up because I was looking at them like, in what sense do these creatures look like cats? They got the fur, they got ears and tail, but that is it. And in fact, on the stage, they look more cat-like. They don't have any cat eyes or noses or even teeth. Like their eyes don't have the shape of a cat eye. What the hell?
I like, as weird as it looks, I prefer this look, having just basically like human...
no lenses?
Human faces.
No, even on the stage, you can have lenses and like those fake teeth to sharpen your canines.
Lenses?
Yeah, like contact lenses to give you the cat eye.
McCavity had them.
He was the only one.
Yeah, but he was the evil one. I don't know.
They're cats!
I would rather see a human face emote than like a human face with like gaudy cat makeup.
I think though the problem is that this movie finds the absolute worst balance of being just enough of both. That you can't process them as like humans doing stuff. They're clearly animated figures, but they have a straight human face, and it's just so wrong.
I think they needed to have the face, otherwise you're just watching like might as well be fully animated or something.
Okay, so this movie was supposed to be fully animated, and then Tom Hooper, the director, came on board and he changed it.
Oh, we can talk about that.
This was supposed to be a full animated movie, and like I think this would be okay. Like you could have it be bonkers crazy.
Wait, what do you mean?
It was
animated.
like a Pixar film, like DreamWorks animated film. And I think that would have been okay. You can do cats that can kind of like, they start as full cats and then maybe at one point they kind of become a little more anthropomorphic.
I would have much preferred that.
I don't know if that would have worked though. Because,
I think it would have worked.
I understand why these cats have human feet and hands. Because you can't dance. Like, if it's going to be...
Cats don't dance.
If it's going to be actors, not fully animated, then they need to have human feet. Because... you can't glide around or dance and make steps. It would just be weird, right?
Yeah, tap dancing. Yeah.
Not going to work. But then, one of the biggest reasons why this, like, going back to the question of, like, is it the movie's fault or the play's fault? Or the stage show musical?
Yeah.
When you go to a musical, you're like, okay, I'm watching Cats. This story doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter, because there's a stage full of people filling the room with their voices around me.
Yeah.
I'm watching the choreography and the great costumes. The dancing is fantastic. You've got world-class singers and ballerinas here.
It's beautiful.
This is great. You take that to the movie where, you know, it's a different medium. We're expecting story and stuff. They tried to inject what they could. They failed. There's no story. But there's no fallback of the dancing and singing because you don't have these world-class singers and dancers. Well, they actually did have some good singers and dancers, but they also had a bunch of Hollywood types who can sing but aren't that good, and like pop singers like T Swift who aren't that good. So it brings down that dimension of the experience. And then the dancing, like sometimes it looked like their feet were kind of slidey on the green screen. Didn't look so good, and their character models, like, yeah, they were actually dancing on set, but because they're green screened out and they're covered in fur, it feels like you're watching like video game characters do their remotes, and you're like, there goes the dancing element, so you're left with nothing. You're left with no singing, no dancing, no story, no characterization, nothing.
I disagree. I think like I said, I enjoyed the visual spectacle of it.
You gave it a 2 or 3.
Because it's garbage.
you didn't enjoy it.
See,
It's fancy, shiny garbage.
And the worst part about it is, for many people, this is circling way back to a point I never quite finished about the the theater people when a movie comes out. For a lot of people who don't watch musicals, don't go to Broadway, this might be the only musical they see. They haven't even seen Les Mis or other crappy Baz Luhrmann shit.
it's so sad.
I don't like Baz Luhrmann. Anyway, this might be the only thing they see, and they're like, okay, I opened my mind, I went on a limb, I watched the musical, and I hated it, and I'm never watching a musical again.
Well, look, I gave it a 3 out of 10. That's pretty bad.
Don't watch it, guys. Actually,
don't.
You know what? Get really high and watch it. What? But
This might be good.
know
for
that you can turn it off at any point.
Right.
That was the tragedy for this is like, I have to watch this. I can't turn this off. I need to watch all the way to the end. I considered just like lying about it. Like turning off like 30 minutes in and then like reading the Wikipedia and being like, yeah, when this happens. It's like I can't
See, but
do
that's
that.
the funny thing about this movie is you could read the Wikipedia and like get the relevant details for the quote unquote plot, but that doesn't give you, then you still don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Because there is no plot.
Because there
this
is no
whole
plot.
movie is je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, exactly. You can learn that about the fact that Jenny Anydots, apparently trained mice to perform for her before she would eat them. And then it's kind of problematic because they're children. You can learn about that, but it doesn't actually mean anything until you've experienced that for yourself. The complete bewilderment of being in that.
Those were the
moment.
highlights of the movie, were the moments of bewilderment.
Yeah.
When you're like, I can't believe they're like escalating. And like, you're right. Like it goes from like the cats to the mice to the cockroaches. And you're like, how is this getting weirder and weirder? But then it levels out at one point, and I think it kind of flatlines and like it tries to start being about that sort of story, but it just loses me. I think the first 30 minutes is the best, and I think that's all you need to watch.
You know what? I think this movie works as? I think it works as a series of short vignettes.
Yeah.
If you kind of took each of the segments and kind of separated them out, it could be maybe compelling. Like, listen, just wait, James. No.
Compelling.
Listen. Okay, not all of them are compelling, but like you take the little skit with like Rebel Wilson's character Jenny Anydots and the dancing cockroaches and mice, and that's a fun little short film. It's useless, but and then later you get the moment where old Deuteronomy gets magicked away, and then magical Mr. Mistopheles has to bring her back. That's like a little story in itself. And then you got the part where Grisabella comes in, and it's like a redemption arc where she's like in exile and she's brought back into the fold and achieves, enlightenment or whatever. That's, each of these things kind of work
what pissed me off?
their own thing.
In the opening Jellicle Cat song, they introduce some kind of concept where a cat has 3 names.
Yes.
And they say the first name is the name that the owner gives you. Names like Alonzo and James. And they just say all these like stupid people names.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, throw in like Smokey or Pookerson. Like just chuck one in. And
Well,
then
this is like old 1800s London or something, so maybe
people were naming their cats.
maybe they were naming them
James?
Stuart. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, that could be funny today, but whatever. then they don't give any examples of what your second type of name is. It's not clear to me what the second type of name
Oh,
is.
but I think their second type of name is the, Bustopher Jones, Skimbleshanks.
I thought that was the
Grisabella.
third name.
No, the third name is you don't speak it. The third name is unspoken.
Oh, thank you, because the whole time I'm like, she never gets her name. They never close that story.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked that. I was like, ooh, there's like a mysterious, like, you have a third name, but it's more in the realm of like taste and sound and feeling than actual words.
But then how do I say it?
You don't say it.
No one says it. That's
Yeah.
what a name is.
No. It's a name only you know, James, in your heart.
That is stupid.
In your heart of hearts.
That is so stupid. It's fundamentally stupid.
But it makes perfect sense within the world of cats.
Where everything makes sense and nothing makes sense. It's a snake eating its own tail.
I just love how like there's just real magic. Like there's just
yeah, and the whole movie takes place on some like London street where there's like a bar that the door is ajar.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's just nighttime or if this like is derelict. We don't know, but they get free reign at night. They get to have concerts in there.
And the milk bar.
the milk bar, man. He's like, oh, I've had enough of milk. Milk! Runs back in. Oh, favorite part. From the first time that you see Idris Elba like teleport away and like it goes like magic, I'm just like, Oh, okay. I can just give it up. Like, I can give up any attempt to trying to make sense of this. That was the point
Yeah.
at which I decided. And it was great. From there on, I enjoyed it mostly. I was just laughing.
I saw an article online. I read an article about this, and at the bottom there was like a related link, and the headline of that article was Cangelicals?
Cangelicals?
Cangelicals? And I clicked on it, and the body of the article was simply Jellicles can and Jellicles do.
That's fucking brilliant.
Who are these people?
Exactly. Who are the Jellicles?
It's so crazy.
We're all Jellicles.
Cats was so huge. Like, I can probably name fewer than 10 musicals, but there was like a chunk of my childhood where that black poster with the cat eyes and that particular typeface that said Cats was everywhere. How was it so big?
James is actually crying right now. Like you have tears.
I'm pretty sure you can
laughing.
see a Cats poster in the background of like an episode of Seinfeld.
Oh yeah,
like, for sure.
Yeah. Like why was it so huge? And okay, so there's a part of me that got angry because I was like upset that this has been such a huge thing and it means absolutely nothing. Because I'm like, if something is going to be this big and occupy this much, cultural real estate, it should mean something. It should have some sort of underlying
This is what
message.
I'm saying. I think it's just an artifact of the 90s where it was like, this is so wacky and cool, and look how they're dressed, and it's provocative, and they have leg warmers on, and the music is all synth, but it should not have gone beyond that.
You know what's confusing about this? Is that you say theater people don't like it.
No, well, some do, but not everybody does.
Sure.
It's out there.
But it's kind of looked down upon in the actual theater community, people who know what they're talking about. Right?
Maybe.
And people in the public when this came out just kind of skewered it because they were like, this is so ridiculous.
No, they liked it.
There were some
It was
people
popular.
It was obviously very popular.
Yeah. Some people went and like celebrated its nonsense. But like most people know that it's just nonsense. But like who cares deeply enough about this to actually make this adaptation? Like, who's Tom Hooper? Didn't he win an Oscar for something?
For King's Speech. I want to talk about Tom Hooper.
Okay.
There's a few things I want to talk about.
Before you get into it, I want to set the context for Tom Hooper, which is in my high school, there was somebody who, I guess this couple, she tossed her boyfriend's salad, and it was like the first time you ever heard of that in your child's mind, okay? Eating ass, not a big deal when you're 30.
Very cool.
But when you're like 16, it was a big deal. And we knew that she had done that, and her nickname after that was Hooper. People would yell it at her. They go, Hooper!
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I just want you to know, when you say the director's name, that's what I think of.
All right.
Okay.
Hooper.
Now we know.
Now we know. Tom Hooper, director of King's Speech, which is a particularly good movie.
I like that
I don't
movie.
think it should have won Best Picture this year.
Hey, Hoop! There it is.
He would then go on to direct Les Miserables, which I think is one of the best musical adaptations of arguably one of the best musicals of all time.
Tom Hooper did both of those.
Yes. And also The Danish Girl but I didn't see that one.
T-Hoop!
Soup.
But so Les Miserables was a huge budget musical, and he did a lot of stuff where like he would record the singing live. Normally they would record the voices in a sound booth and then add it in. They would lip sync on set, but they actually recorded the voices on set.
For
it adds
Cats?
I don't know for Cats, but for Les Miserables.
Okay.
And it's a very impressive period piece. It still suffers from being a musical, I think, and some people just don't like it. But I really like it. I think it's really good. Hugh Jackman is incredible in it. He carries it.
And he's not just a Hollywood guy, though. He's been in musicals for years.
Yeah, that's how he started.
Boy from Oz.
And so I think he was a good choice in some ways, but apparently he was a miserable fucking asshole on this movie. So
Name is.
Hugh Jackman?
no, Tom.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Wolverine.
No, Tom Hooper. So this begs the question. There's a few questions I have about Tom Hooper, but
Does he use a litter box?
It all leads into the butthole cut.
The butthole
All
cut.
questions
Oh my
lead
God,
to the
this
butthole
comes
cut.
back to the butthole cut.
Hashtag
You
release.
catfished me.
Release the butthole cut.
So if you don't know, there's rumors of a version of this movie where there's buttholes,
Right.
like feline starfish underneath the tails.
Dirt stars.
Dirt
Because
stars.
that was apparently supposed to be what it was from the beginning.
And luckily we recorded today because it came out literally yesterday
Wait, what did?
that there is a butthole
No.
cut. There is a real
Okay.
butthole
Wait, what do you
cut.
mean?
So
okay, hold on. There were people speculating. There was like a rumor about this, then there's tweets about it, and Ryan Johnson was like, release the butthole cut, like hashtag butthole cut. And then someone actually made a trailer saying, assuming that this is true, this is what it could look like. And they took the trailer and they put buttholes in. And in my opinion, the buttholes are a little accentuated. They're almost like brighter than anything else on the screen. You can't not look at the buttholes in that trailer. But then I watched the movie and I decided for myself, I don't think that the butthole cut exists. And I based that on the fact that they don't even have cat eyes or cat teeth. So why would they have cat buttholes? That was my official stance. And now you're telling me.
So, I mean, the source is a VFX editor on the film. Came out from an interview with the Daily Beast yesterday is the time of recording, saying that, yes, there is indeed a butthole cut. It's because the shaders they used for the cats are they're generated. So it kind of scanned cats or created cat fur and then wrapped them on the people. So it's all done by machine learning, and it created buttholes. And so
the buttholes are on there.
Yeah, the buttholes are on there.
Cats have buttholes. You can't erase them.
You can erase them.
And so then
and they did.
At some point in editing, they're like, something's weird about this. And then they noticed the buttholes, and then they hired someone specifically to digitally erase all the buttholes.
Because
what a job.
Because
what a hero.
It wasn't necessarily, as you describe, it wasn't necessarily that they wanted the buttholes. It was just that like
they happened.
And apparently they weren't like in your face. They were just kind of like, you might notice them or you might not.
They would have been in your face. There's a scene with the Rebel Wilson cat where she's like spread eagles and like licks her crotch.
That's true.
But there's no cat crotch to lick. Well, in the trailer with the buttholes, you can see it's really brutal. It's like, whoa.
Oh, and that's the VFX in general. I think that's the same studio that did Sonic the Hedgehog as well, and The Lion King. So like, apparently they were doing 90-hour work weeks trying to get this done, and apparently Tom Hooper was kind of an ass to them because normally, I read something about this. Normally, when you do previs, when you do like the initial animation, you show that to the director or whoever. And, the director has an understanding that, okay, this isn't the finished product. This is kind of like rough work right now. And then they're going to go after we, finalize everything. They're going to go and add polish and extra, all the fur and all that stuff. But Tom Hooper wanted, when he would go to review the animations, he wanted it fully done with all the fur, everything, full production. So they had to 90-hour work weeks, like months on end.
Yeah. In that interview I saw, they were saying that they spent I think it's 60% of their time making the first 2-minute trailer. And then they had 40% of their time left for the rest of the movie. And so it was just a total nightmare of a production.
Ridiculous.
I wonder.
So worth it in the end.
Yeah. I wonder if Tom Hooper was a particular asshole because he was lying to himself that this was all going to be okay. If he was so stuck in this terrible rut that he couldn't do anything but let it explode out of him.
Right.
Wow, that's really. What would be the movie equivalent? What character in cinema has that going on? You're so deep down the rabbit hole, you're your own worst enemy.
McCavity.
Did you guys know that Judy
Raging Bull or something?
Yeah. Do you guys know that Judi Dench was the original Grisabella and Jenny Anydots in the Broadway production, but she got hurt days before it opened, and they replaced her.
That is really messed up, and I'm very happy for the dame that she was able to.
I think she looked the best as a cat.
Well, she had that huge mane.
She had the big mane.
That helps,
yeah.
I think Sir Ian McKellen was okay too.
McKellen, man.
He didn't even look like a cat. He just looked like Ian McKellen with
a bunch of pelts on.
Yeah.
Why do the cats wear other cats?
Yeah, it's pretty vicious.
Okay. Wait, what do you mean?
They have fur, they wear coats.
It's dog fur.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
We killed them.
This movie might have the worst fight scene of the decade.
There's a fight scene?
Oh.
Yeah, on that barge when they mutiny.
Oh.
And Ian McKellen is so obviously quite an old man and shouldn't be doing action. And there's some very pathetic hits. It's Oh, and then he spits out a hairball as a weapon at somebody.
You know what I'd love
Rebel Wilson has a giant chain. Swinging a brutal
goes
fake
apocalyptic.
Chain.
It's great. The funniest part, I love James Corden's character. I thought he was hilarious.
Stop.
Those little
Stop.
times when he had an aside and he's just no, actually what you're doing it wrong. I was like, oh, this is fun.
I hate you.
Why?
What
do you mean?
He was the absolute worst. I hated him
when he corrected him on the Thames pronunciation.
I think my hatred for James Corden might go deeper than just this movie. I find him disingenuous, and I find that carried forward in this movie.
Oh, really?
And I just found like his design was off. I found his whole character look was one of the worst CG moving ones.
Agree with that.
Wait a second. You don't like James Corden as a person?
That's weird.
I don't know him as a person.
He's beloved.
His presence always feels disingenuous to me.
What do you mean? His presence where?
In the same way...
On Earth?
At my house. No, as like
he shows up, I'm like, James Corden, you get out of here.
As a late night host, he does the Jimmy Fallon thing of being overly excited and all these things.
Right.
And I find that disingenuous side of him rubs me the wrong way, even more than Jimmy Fallon. I like Jimmy Fallon. I like most late night hosts, but I find James Corden in particular...
You just don't think he's being authentic?
Yeah, I feel very inauthentic.
I'm right there with you. I'm not... I do not like Jimmy Fallon as a late night talk show host. I haven't really watched James Corden that much, but I totally get what you're saying. It's around the same thing. But I think that I like both of their performances. Like I like Jimmy Fallon on SNL. He freaking cracked me up every time as horrible of an actor that he is. He laughs in every scene. But I thought he was really funny. Mm-hmm. And like James Corden as well. I just like
in Cats, you mean?
Well, in Cats, but also in Into the Woods. I loved him in Into the Woods. And he's had a handful of other roles.
He's been in Doctor Who.
I haven't seen him in that.
Carpool Karaoke.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that James Corden and Jimmy Fallon are both actors and comedians more than they are, genuine people. Like,
that's fair.
I really like Stephen Colbert in the way that he interviews people.
Feels much more authentic.
Much more authentic.
Well, Colbert's a character, though.
Well, no, he used to be.
Yeah.
Now he's not.
Colbert Report was a character, but now it's just Stephen Colbert.
Him.
All right.
Yeah.
I found that with Rebel Wilson and Corden's characters, they seem to be the ones who are like having the most fun on set.
Well, because they're like, we're not supposed to be here.
We're in this. This is so crazy.
Yeah,
and you could tell a lot of their lines, especially Rebel's lines, were just totally made up. She had the worst cat puns.
Yeah.
They were improvised for sure.
I like that old bit where
cat.
she was like heckling Rum Tum Tugger's performance. She's like, "Oh, no way. No, get out of there." Like,
there's a couple lines that are cheesy when she's like, "I wonder if he's been neutered," like
yeah.
And I was like,
whatever.
None of you have genitals.
Musical.
We would see them right now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a musical. I forget of all that stuff.
Wait, were there cat balls then?
No, there's no cat balls. See,
well, you're saying the tool used just all images of cats. Like, wouldn't there be testicles on some of them?
I think they probably knew well enough to program out the...
Well, I don't think...
What?
I don't have a cat. Do cats have external testicles?
Yeah, the males that are unneutered do.
Oh, okay.
They're hilarious. They're little fuzzy balls. It's so good. So funny.
Okay, so this musical sucks. It's shit. Do you guys like musicals outside of this?
Yeah.
I don't seen a lot. I respect a lot of them. Like, there's a scene in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde where there's like this 4-part canon harmony thing. It's insane. I've seen that, but I haven't sat down and I haven't even seen Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see Les Mis. I was interested. I'm open to it.
Les Mis is good. It's cool.
I'm not like a fan of the medium of musicals. Like I don't think that it's like an amazing medium, but I think that when it's done well, it can be like the most emotional, moving experiences you can have.
Well, I agree because music is really powerful, and when you can include that in your storytelling, I think it's important. This
kind of musical, I hate because the songs do nothing. I mean, there is no plot, but if there was a plot, these songs would do absolutely nothing to move them forward.
And there's no characterization in the songs. Only the added song.
Wait, what are you talking about? The songs are all characterization.
Well, no. Well, the thing is that we don't follow any of those characters, so we don't learn more and more about them.
Sure.
What do we know about Victoria?
Only
literally nothing about Victoria.
Well, at the 50-minute mark, when she interacts with Grisabella or whatever, the song that's added, you get to see okay, she's this new cat on the block, literally, but unlike the other ones, she's not going to be mean to this cat, and she gives her a chance. She says, "I was once like you," or whatever. "I know what it's like to be not wanted." And you're like, sweet, now I know a single thing about you at an hour into the movie.
Right.
But that's it.
I was hoping for a little more something there. I'm like, okay, so we've been leading up this whole time to this. Okay, Victoria has her song now. We've gotten all these songs from all these other cats. Now Victoria's going to sing. What's your backstory? What are you about? And she just It's just kind of vague, like, oh, there's ghosts of the past and whatnot. So it's like,
And she's the protagonist, but she's not the one. Like,
she's really just a stand-in for the audience.
At the end, Mr. Mistopheles is the one who saves the days and has like some kind of growth. It really should have been her.
She gets to be his girlfriend though, and that's exciting.
Do they end up together? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, they're like a thing.
They're all neutered.
Yeah, but they're like nuzzling.
Yeah.
That's what girlfriends do.
Can you stop
right?
talking about this movie? Can we talk about another movie next week? Anything but this?
We have ideas. David and I thought of some ideas.
Okay.
We thought of ways to think of what we do next. We thought maybe if it's a director's birthday, we can do one of theirs.
Oh.
Huh? Maybe. This is all questions for the audience. You guys let us know on Twitter at Carpool Critics or email us carpoolcriticspodcast@gmail.com whether you like these ideas. Here's another one, Riley.
Okay, hit me.
You may have heard of a lot of famous movies from history that you're like,
I've heard of movies.
I should probably watch Citizen Kane and Seven Samurai at some point.
Yep.
But you don't really want to because it's like, they're good, but are they good? And we kind of think maybe we should cover those. Like,
a lot of people say Citizen Kane is still the best movie ever made.
nah.
No. It's
Yeah.
a very important film, but it's not the
Okay,
best
but
movie
you
ever
guys
made.
don't say that, but I think some people do.
If you stopped watching movies in the 50s, sure. But okay, notwithstanding, the idea is maybe we should do one of those movies like quarterly because I think that maybe there's other people out there who are interested in them and want an excuse to check it out and then they want to talk about it after.
I've always wanted to see Quarterly.
Or like Vertigo.
Vertigo.
Hitchcock.
Secret Window.
Rear Window.
Rear Window.
Secret Window.
The one with Johnny Depp.
Stephen King one.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like all of those ones.
You like those ideas?
I love those movies.
It's Steven Seagal's birthday this week. We could do a Steven Seagal
Oh, I don't even think I've seen one.
Please, no.
No,
I
do
saw
a good
Steven
movie.
Seagal
We're
movie
only
once
putting-
on a Spanish bus, like in Peru. They had it on, and they do this thing where they like, it's an English movie, but they dub it in Spanish and they put English subtitles. And I'm just like, you
I love
son
it.
of a bitch! I could just be watching this.
You know what has been a huge boon to me doing these podcast movies is turning on subtitles. I never used to watch movies with subtitles, and now, like, regardless of whether they're in English or another language, I put subtitles on. Because then I'm like, I'd learn so much more. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what they said.
True,
Oh.
but I don't like it. It detracts a little bit.
Okay, I was looking at birthdays for people in the next week. One of the characters from The Breakfast Club. It's his birthday.
Oh yeah,
next
that's
week.
another thing we talked about. We talked about how I'd never seen The Breakfast Club.
Anthony Michael Hall. I just want to make sure that that's actually the right person.
That would be a good one to
and that's
do.
probably the best. David thinks that's the best
John Hughes.
John Hughes movie.
Oh, maybe it's
Hey,
Although he also made Home Alone, bro. He wrote Home Alone. That guy, he cracked it out like in a weekend or something like that.
this week we did one of the most nonsensical, shallow pieces of entertainment ever made. Can we do something with, like,
Some substance?
yeah,
Yeah, Breakfast Club.
that definitely has substance. But it's not like all the way. Like, I want to really unpack something, you know?
When are we going to do Blade Runner?
Like Breakfast
2049?
Club, you can discuss, and there's meaning and depth there for sure. But I want to do something where it's like, whoa, this gets at the secrets of the universe or
Okay,
something.
if you want that, it's time to do The Fountain.
Oh yeah,
Oh, David made
The
a face. You don't like The
Fountain!
Fountain?
I like The Fountain.
I love The Fountain.
you really want to do Breakfast Club though?
No, I don't.
What?
I don't know what I want to do anymore.
Well, we can.
Life's confusing.
I don't want
guys.
David to be
break,
unhappy.
David.
We can.
I'm fine. I'm
well,
fine.
look, we'll do what we always do, which is a poll. Although I don't want to do polls anymore.
I want to do polls like David suggested. I want to do director polls. Like, we're going to do a Tarantino movie, which one? We're going to do a Denis Villeneuve movie, which one?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What else did John Hughes do?
Oh, everything.
16 Candles. Beethoven.
What?
Baby's Day Out.
Airbud.
Yeah.
Wait,
he did
you're
a bunch
talking.
of
So
stupid
he
shit.
did
Did
all
not
of
do
the,
Airbud.
He did all of like the cheesy '90s family movies.
A lot of them, yeah.
No, but he did those 80s like John Cusack type movies.
Yeah. Yeah, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club. Let me find some more.
Okay, we'll make the
Oh.
poll. This is
Planes, Trains, Automobiles.
this can be
Oh,
continued.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Weird
is one of my
Science. Wait,
favorites.
let's do a John Hughes week.
Let's do it.
I think Bueller will win if we do a poll. But I think we should do Breakfast Club.
Okay, wait. Are we still podcasting right now, or is this we're just talking now?
Who knows?
Because I feel like it ended a while ago.
Maybe. Depends what you say next.
Let's end the podcast.
End.
See you next time.
What? No, we can't cut to that.